I want to address some friends and family and associates that always ask me, Daku, why do you always talk about race? You know it doesn't have anything to do with race now, right? You know we have a black president. You know it's more so about economics and religion or what are some of the other things? Economics, religion, education. It's about all these things, but it's not about race. Well, my friend, you know, as I've shared with you, and those of you that really know me, you know for a fact that I've been in managerial types of positions up to middle management. And I've worked with those in upper management quite a bit. And I've learned from them in these organizations that they use these code words to talk about race without saying race. But because you are not aware of what they're doing, you'll say, Daku, it don't have nothing to do with race. So I'm going to let these educated college professors and authors tell you, since you won't hear it from me, that it is about race. They're talking about race without saying race. They're using code words, like I said, demographics, crime, urban, welfare, affirmative action. They use these terms to talk about race. But let me shut up and let you hear it from the so-called professionals.
Well, I mean, obviously, the use of these code words. I mean, the whole idea of the federal government encroaching upon the powers of state and local governments, the birther movement, the accusations that President Obama is not a citizen or that he is a Muslim. These are all ways that the Tea Party has indirectly invoked race into American politics today without actually saying they are racist. If you just look at some candidates and how they run office and, if you remember Dukakis, not being tough on crime, I mean, these are all code words that candidates use that is a way to invoke this whole idea that the civil rights movement, the struggle for equality for all groups in this country, it's gone too far. And so we need to reel it back in. And particularly the whole argument about the federal government being too strong and the states need to, take the authority and take back power. That is a major argument that's used now in politics that you see all the time.
No one was better able to talk about race without ever mentioning race. I mean, as early as 1963 and 64 when Governor Wallace went on the road lecturing, he never talked about the Civil Rights Act of 1964 taking away your right to sell only to white people. It was telling that you had to sell to somebody whether they had green teeth or he had this long list of other characteristics. Well, that was pretty crude, really. Everybody knew he was talking about race. The problem with code words, and it's what makes it so frustrating, I think, people, I absolutely believe that lots of politicians use coded language, and some of it's pretty nasty. But the difficulty comes when there are many issues on which there may be legitimate areas of disagreement, even though they're not just racial. You may be against busing because you don't want your children to go to school with white children. You're white. You may also be a black parent who says, I don't want my child to be bussed out of this neighborhood and go someplace else. And you can go down. Welfare is a perfect example. I think that is welfare and crime are the two areas that I would argue that it's most egregious. We know from a whole series of surveys that were done in the 1990s and early 20s after 2000 that white Americans overwhelmingly overestimate the percentage of African Americans who are receiving welfare. Time and and time again that the percentage of African Americans who receive some form of public assistance, which is means tested in the United States, is actually less than the percentage that are in poverty. But when you ask Americans, they'll assume that 3/4, 2/3 of recipients of welfare are black, and they're not. And so when you talk about welfare, politicians are perfectly aware that when you harangue voters about welfare, they don't have to say black. It's already in people's minds. All they have to do is like a command whistle to a dog. And that dog may not understand what you're saying, but he knows what that whistle means. And I think that's often true of those examples. But it is difficult, I think, to say what is exactly race and what is not. That's what makes it hard.